YouTube! Quite an entrance, right? I feel like I should have sunglasses and gloves and a tweed jacket or something when I'm driving this James Bond car. This is a Jaguar Series 1, the first series of the XJ6 maybe it's called. You can see it on the indicators here. It's between the bumper and the headlights, and there's probably 100 other things that differs between the series, but this is the only thing I know between Series 1 and Series 2 of these cars. One more thing, I never think this one came with diesel engines, so that's what we are going to change on this one. But I am going to explain everything, and in order to not get too much music into these videos, I'm going to commentary about what's going to happen now. The car next to me is a Mercedes, a more common car, a Mercedes, I think it's the W210 chassis on this one, and it comes with an engine that's pretty good, an OM606, and it's paired up with an automatic transmission, 722.6 transmission. This car is in excellent shape actually. It's a real nice chassis, but it got electrical gremlins. I am going to explain how it did work when I bought it, but I have never got it working for several years now. I'm going to explain how that all happened, but I don't think I'm going to need electricals out of this one, so it's a good candidate actually. So the first thing we're going to do is get the engine and transmission out of this one. So let's start off with that. So as I said, I am going to explain what happened to this car, the silver one. I had two of these cars actually, one blue with a CDE engine, and this one I had both for several years, and I was accustomed to test start them both at least once or twice a year just to keep things going, and they both had the same keys. They are plastic, there are no like grooves or anything, they're plastic keys, and they both look the same. So at one point I started this one up and I didn't know which key I was going to use, so I just had both in the same hand and mounted one of them in the keyhole on the ignition, and the car started as usual. I had music in my ears, a stereo playing, so I went to the garage, and when I came back the car had stopped, and I couldn't figure out what happened and why it stopped, and it dawned on me that maybe the RFID thingy there, it felt that I had the right key in my hand. There you can see the key again. It felt that I had the right key in my hand. I started it, and then I took the other key out, and it felt like, okay, the car is running and everything, but I don't have the key anymore. So I think that happened, and I think that bricked the ECU, some kind of, so you can't steal the car, because I never got it running after that, and I couldn't even get the starter to move. But the key works, so then I gave up in this car. So it might have been something easy, but more than likely I would have to bring it to Mercedes to reprogram the keys for it to make it start again. So now it's going to the scrap instead, and I already got a buyer for the chassis. So that's a good thing. So I just need a motor and the transmission, and then the buyer can pick up the chassis later on. Here I'm cutting off the easy lines. I don't think well, for one thing, I didn't need easy lines, and I don't think you can remove these ones. There are no fittings or anything on the easy lines. They are like solid all the way, so the easiest way was just to cut them out. I could never salvage them anyhow. Even if I wanted to, I would have to route new lines, so that's a sacrifice. But everything went out really easy. Oh, now I have bringed out the bear, so this is the end of day 1 probably. I see a bear on the intake of the engine, so this is probably the last few hours of working this day. This took several, I think I did all of this over time of like a month or something. So I think this is the next day. I have another shirt on, another pants too, so this must be the second day. So I did not take out the engine on the first day. The disassembly. I don't remember what I did first on this engine. We are going to do several things to make it work in the Jaguar. Let's see here. Okay, this is the exhaust recycling thingy. It recycles the exhaust gases, and I just get rid of that because it was in the way. Take out the automatic transmission anyhow, so I just get rid of it. I don't remember if I actually put a plug in the exhaust there, if I remember that or not. I can already see that the bell housing on the automatic transmission is a little bit open here, so I am going to take off the automatic transmission next. Yep. And I do know what's gonna happen next. It's the same thing that happens the last time I took off one of these transmissions, and it's super annoying. Yeah, I feel you. So, the converter stayed on the flex plate yet again. And I don't want it to do this because now I got the hassle to figure out how far in it's seated in the automatic transmission, and the agony of thinking, oh, what if I haven't seated it all right now when I'm remounting everything. So I do prefer that the converter stays on, but it never seems to do, so kind of sucks, but yeah, it is what it is. So now I am dismantling the original oil pump on this one. Since it's going into the Jaguar, well, we haven't seen it yet, but I do know that on the Mercedes here is a front sump, and I do need a rear sump to make it fit, even slightly make it fit on the Jaguar engine. So I bought this one from England, Diesel Pump UK. I think it's almost, maybe it's more, like 1,000 euros, a grand. So it ain't cheap. And if you know what you need, you probably can get it from a scrapyard, especially a scrapyard in other countries than Sweden, where you like here they are quite expensive on parts. It's almost like new price on the scrapyard. So if you don't know someone, but if you're going to use regular Swedish car parts, they are damn expensive here. And I didn't even know what I needed from Mercedes, which engine or anything, so I bought this one from Diesel Pump UK, and I did get the oil pump and everything needed to make it work. As you can see here, the pickup tube. Wait a minute, can you see it? Now I'm a bit curious. If the pickup tube was at the front anyhow. I did see some meshed net. Was it in the front or back? To make it, there's a holder and a few of these bolts that hold down the crankshaft do have a hole and a smaller what is called thread, a small thread inside. So you have to you have to change out the bolts. I don't think you have to do it on every engine, but on this one you had to move the bolts between two of these halves that holds down the crankshaft to make it work. It is kind of hard to see if well, yeah, there you can see the ones with the holes and the ones that don't have holes. I don't remember the torque on this one. You're going to torque it down and then add another 90 degrees. And in order to make it not in one go, I just mark the bolts where they are, and then I can see here. And then I mark the bolts when I'm done, so I don't forget any one of them. A little bit nerve-wracking, since it was a damn good engine to start with. So I don't like to start off by taking these kind of things apart, but what can you do? Now let's see here. I don't know the meshed net in front here, but I could imagine that the pickup tube, the going backwards, are pick up for the oil. So, and that is to accommodate to get a rear sump instead. And another thing that I noticed that I didn't think that I just assumed that it would work. This oil sump, it fits perfectly on the block, but none of the bolts on the flange that meets up with the automatic transmission on the sump side, not a single bolt added up to the automatic transmission. So that's a bummer. I guess there's probably different bell housings, so I could get another 722.6 automatic transmission that would work. But this one, it was not straight on. It didn't work that way, but I just used the bolts that it did fit with, and maybe I can make some adjustments and then later on to make it work. So this pump I have actually fitted with some 7.7mm plungers, and I actually made it myself. I made a test bench. I think it was last winter. I don't actually remember exactly when, but it's also Diesel Pump UK who sold me the kit, but trimming in the pump and with the fuel and everything I did myself on the test bench. And there is another YouTube video on that if you're interested to see how I went along figuring it out and everything. So and I knew this project was coming up, so I think I hinted it in the video too where that I have a plan for that injection pump. And this was it, saving up some money so I could afford all of this. But yeah, an old filter housing, I don't think this is necessary at all, but it was just to get the old kind of fittings so that I can make my own hoses and everything to it. So the original one on the engine probably would work just fine, but I had this one laying around, so I used it. And this one I had to actually redo this one because it's a new banjo fitting, if you see there, and there should be a smaller hole and a back valve in that one, so I actually had to take that one apart again and refitted that one. I noticed my mistake before I put everything back together, luckily enough. So and you can see the new oil dipstick. Since it's a rear sump now, I have to remount it on another place. And let's see now how many times I need to try the gasket. Oh, second try. That's good. So now this car is ready to move on to the one who sold it to. He had the same kind of car in the same kind of color, so I think his plan was to just take everything on that car and move it to this one, but I don't know if it's even, yeah, I don't know if it's worth it, but otherwise he's probably just going to take off all the doors, hood, fenders and everything, just move it over to his car instead. I think that's the more plausible thing to do. And here comes the Jaguar for its last run with a gasoline engine. It looks really nice on the camera, but actually it's not all that good. It looks so much better in this movie than it does in real life. It got like Bondo cracks on literally every panel. You got Bondo cracks, and they all facing up. So when it rains on it, all the Bondo, it gets water in it. So, but still, I shouldn't complain. It's like the nicest car I got, anyhow. But fair warning, it's not as good as it looks on this video, because it looks pristine here when I'm watching this video. You don't see the cracks on it or anything. This is not the original color. You will see it in the engine basement here. Soon enough, it was like light blue original, and someone have spent a lot of money fixing it up. So it's a nice car, but not as nice as this looking at this video when I'm watching this now. This is a big engine. I don't remember how big, but just look at the length on it. And you can see a rear sump on this one, so I do need a rear sump on the Mercedes engine too to make it fit. I actually had a buyer on this engine too before I even dismantled it. Some enthusiast talked to me when I was out driving the Jaguar and said, "Oh, I'll buy the engine when you're ready." And when I told him, "Yeah, the engine is out now," I don't know if he didn't believe me, because then he pulled out. He didn't want the engine anymore. So that was a bummer, but I think it's fairly easy to sell later on this engine. So someone will need it. And mounting this one, I think it was a little bit fiddly to make the room on the firewall, between the firewall and to make it fit down into the base on the frame here. But I don't remember that it was that fiddly, but it wasn't all that straightforward. I thought it would be more room under the hood of this car actually, but yeah, as you will see later on, it wasn't all that much space left when I was finished. More packages. I wonder how much money I am up in. Just one of those oil coolers, I think they are like $300, 300 euros each. So all this packaging is like $1,000. Just the coolers cost me like $1,000. So it ain't cheap to build this kind of engines, I must say. But as you will see soon, it all looked really good, and I actually made a good effort to make real hard lines and make everything fit and make everything, yeah, good from the get-go. I will probably have to go back and redo some stuff, but I didn't want to do a hack job from end to beginning. So yeah, I did make it a little bit more classy than I usually do. there I didn't wanna, it wasn't preferable to cut the sides here, but this is actually the only thing I cut up on the car. The engine mounts, even the engine mounts, are the original ones to the chassis, and then I did my own to fit to the OM606. But if you want to fit an original Jaguar engine again, the mounts and everything are intact as they should be. So this was the only thing, and you can sew back a plate over this one, no problem, and so no one will ever see it anyhow, and no one will ever make this car original again. They are not expensive enough for that, but I can tell myself that to not feel too guilty. And this is the steering cooler line. So I did pick everything from the Mercedes stuff. So I haven't taken out any coolers or anything. So they are all there. Didn't I just do that? The piping. This is the second time I do the piping on that side. Now I'm going to remount the hood. You missed a lot. I didn't film all of this. There are the gear lever inside our Mercedes. I fixed that one. The prop shaft. You will see when I test drive. It's a terrible rattle when I drive. And I will, in the end of the video, claim, oh, it's the flex plate that hits one of the mounts of the transmission. And come to think of it, I did shorten the prop shaft and I did press it on, but if I remember correctly, I told myself, okay, let's test fit everything here and check the length, and then I can weld it. And I never think I welded it. I just think I mounted it all and say, oh, this is great, and just test drive it without welding it together. So that's another thing. I'm not crazy here. I want to see if the engine hits the hood, the sound will be not as hollow. That's why I'm tapping on the hood to see if everything fits, and everything looks great. Here I am. New fuel filter. Oh, we're going to test started now. So as usual, a separate fuel from a can inside the hood here. Engine compartment. Oh, there's the can with diesel. I did have a hard time getting the air out of the engine, and I even had to, I think you will see it soon, I had to use the glow plugs. I think I just fired up 2 of them, but I did need to fire up a few of the glow plugs just to get it started. We'll see here. Here's Ofgear from Denmark. To make the car run, I need it's an electronic automatic transmission on these ones now, so I do need this kit to make the gear lever and everything work. Since I didn't get any of the electronics from the car that I sold, that I took the engine out of, I need this kit to make it run with an automatic gearbox again. So this is the throttle sensor. So the firmness of the shifting, it works on the premises on how much I press down the pedal here. And here you can see the Mercedes gear shift mounted on the Jaguar. I did have to make some adjustments to make it work, but same thing again, I haven't cut the car here. I made a plate on the original gear lever holder, so it's 4 bolts for the Jaguar and another 4 bolts from the Mercedes. So this thing I can make it stuck again if I want to. I haven't changed anything inside here. So far I haven't changed anything. There are some setup of it. It's 0 to 100 on the throttle. The throttle I need to redo. It was way too fishy to drive with the original. So maybe I'll go electronic there. We'll see. This one I didn't get, but it's the one is the gear it starts on, so it doesn't have a D drive. So there you have it, a first small test drive at least. It seemed to work nice and everything. I had a terrible vibration from the drive shaft, and I think I know why, because the flex plate, that's rubber in this case, it's touching the gearbox, the holding plate on the gearbox, and I think when I'm coming up to speed it all expands a little bit more and it's even worse. So I don't think it's that bad misaligned or anything. I think it's the rubber flex plate. I need to make a new gearbox hold plate underneath that gives a little bit more room for this one. Besides that, it needs glow plugs, it needs intercooling piping and everything. It doesn't seem to leak anything. That's really nice. That's a good thing. I need a stop solenoid for the vacuum hose. I don't know if the brake booster, I have connected the brake booster to the vacuum here, and I don't know if it works, or I have to exchange the brake booster for a diesel one, not a Jaguar diesel one, but a Mercedes diesel one perhaps. Furthermore, yeah, what's more on this one? I need to connect gauges and stuff, lots of those kind of stuff. But as usual, it's winter is coming here. We are in September now, beginning of September, but I want to have another. I got other things to do too on the machines here, not all, just the fun stuff. So I will end the video here and pick up on this one next spring instead. Maybe I can do a few weeks on the Volvo 240 before winter's here, but this one I'm going to park now when I can drive it in the garage, so it's safe and away from the snow. So this is the end of this episode. We will see this one again. So thanks for watching. Bye bye.